चलिए दिन नेक्स्ट जल्दी से रिवाइज कीजिए। 15.2 बायोडाइवर्सिटी कंजर्वेशन में 15.2.1 वाई शुड बी कंजर्व बायोडाइवर्सिटी। चलिए द नेक्स्ट। देयर आर मेनी रीजन्स, सम ऑब्वियस एंड others not so obvious but all equally important. They can be grouped into three categories: narrowly utilitarian, जी हाँ utilitarian, broadly utilitarian and ethical. The dash arguments for conserving biodiversity are obvious. Human drive countless direct economic benefits from nature. Food, that is cereals, pulses, fruits, firewood, fiber, construction material, industrial products like tannins, lubricants, dyes, resins, perfumes, and products of medical importance. The next, more than %% of the drugs currently sold in the market worldwide are derived from plants, and species of plants contribute to the traditional medicine used by native peoples around the world. The next, nobody knows how many more medicinally useful plants there are in waiting to explode. With increased resources put into exploring molecular genetic and species level diversity for products of economic importance, nations endowed with rich biodiversity can expect to reap enormous benefits. The next, the broadly utilitarian. The broadly utilitarian argument says that plays a major role in many ecosystem services that nature provides. The fast dwelling Amazon forest is estimated to produce through photosynthesis percent of the total oxygen in the Earth's atmosphere. The next, can we put an economic value on this service by nature? The next, you can get some idea by finding out how much your neighborhood hospital spends on a cylinder of oxygen. Pollination, without which cannot give us fruits or seeds, is another service ecosystems provide through pollinators layer, that is and bats. The next, what will be the costs of accomplishing pollination without help from natural pollinators? The next, there are other intangible benefits that we derive from the aesthetic pleasures of walking through thick wood, watching a spring flower in the full bloom, or waking up to bulbul song in the morning. Can we put a price tag on such things? The next, the ethical argument for conserving biodiversity relates to what we owe to millions of plant, animal, and microbes species with whom we share this planet. Need to realize that every species has an intrinsic value, even if it may not be current or any economic value to us. We have a moral duty to care of their well-being and pass on our biological legacy in good order to future The next, 15.2.2, how do we conserve biodiversity? जल्दी से रिवाइज कीजिए इसको। When we conserve and protect the dash dash, its diversity at all levels is protected. We save the entire forest to save the tiger. This approach is called dash dash conservation. However, when there are situations where an animal or plant is endangered or threatened, that is, organisms facing a very high risk of extinction in the wild in the near future and needs urgent measures to save it from extinction. Dash dash that is off-site conservation is a desirable approach. The next in situ conservation. रिवाइज मारिए जल्दी से. चलिए the first question. Faced with conflict between development and dash dash, many nations find it unrealistic and economically not feasible to conserve all their biological wealth. The next. Invariably, the dash dash waiting to save from extinction far exceeds the conservation resources available. The next. On a global basis, this problem has been addressed by dash dash. The next. They identified for maximum protection certain dash dash region with very high level of species richness and a high degree of dash dash that is species confined to that region and not found any every else. इसमें गलती वर्ड बताइए. The next. Initially dash dash hot spots were identified but subsequently dash dash more have been added to the list, bringing the total number of biodiversity hotspots in the world to dash dash. The next. These hotspots are also regions of accelerated habitat loss. Three of these dash dash Western Ghat and Sri Lanka dash dash and dash dash cover our country's exceptionally high biodiversity region. The next. Although all the biodiversity hotspots put together cover less than dash dash percent of the Earth's land area, the number of species they collectively harbor is extremely high, and strict protection of these dash dash could reduce the ongoing mass extinction by almost dash dash. The next. In India, ecologically unique and biodiversity rich regions are legally protected as dash dash national parks and dash dash. The next. India now has dash dash reserve, dash dash national parks and dash dash wild sanctuaries. The next. India has also a history of religious and cultural tradition that emphasized protection of nature. In many cultures, tracts of forest were set aside, and all the trees and wildlife within were venerated and given total dash dash. The next. Such dash dash are found in Khasi and Jantia Hills in Meghalaya, Aravalli Hills of dash dash, Western Ghat regions of dash dash and dash dash, and the dash dash and dash dash areas of Madhya Pradesh. The next. In Meghalaya, the Escad group are the last refuges for a large number of rare and threatened plants. The next. Ex situ conservation. In this approach, threatened animals and plants are taken out from dash dash and placed in a special setting where they can be protected and given special care. The next dash dash comma dash dash and a dash dash serve this purpose. The next, there are many animals that have become extinct in the wild but continue to be mentioned in dash dash. In recent years, dash dash conservation has advanced beyond keeping threatened species in enclosure. The next, now gametes of threatened species can be preserved in viable and fertile condition for long periods using dash dash techniques. Egg can be fertilized in dash dash and plants can be propagated using tissue culture methods. The next, seeds of different genetic strains of commercially important plants can be kept for long period in seed banks. Dash dash known no political boundaries and its conservation is therefore a collective responsibility of all nations. The historic conventions on biological diversity that is dash dash held in Rio de Janeiro in dash dash called upon all nations to take appropriate measures for conservation of biodiversity and sustainable utilization of its benefits. The next, in a follow-up the dash dash, South Africa 119 countries pledged their commitment to achieve by dash dash a significant reduction in the current rate of biodiversity loss at global, regional and local levels. चलिए रिवाइज कीजिए जल्दी से समरी को. Since life originated on Earth nearly dash dash billion years ago, there had been enormous diversification of life form on Earth. Biodiversity refers to the sum total of diversity that exists at all levels of biological organization. Of particular importance is the biodiversity as dash dash and dash dash levels, and conservation efforts are aimed at protecting diversity at all these levels. More than dash dash species have been recorded in the world, but there might still be nearly dash dash species on Earth waiting to be discovered and named. Of the named species dash dash are animals, of which dash dash percent are insects. The group dash dash has more species than all the vertebrate species combined. India, with about dash dash species of plants and twice as many species of animals, is one of the dash dash diversity countries of the world. The next, dash dash on Earth is not uniformly distributed but show interesting patterns. It is generally highest in the tropics and decreases toward the dash dash. The next, important explanations for species richness of the tropics are dash dash had more evolutionary time. They provide a relatively constant environment and they receive more solar energy, which contributes greater productivity. The next, species richness is also function of the area of a region. The species area relationship is a generally dash dash. The next, it is believed that dash dash with a high diversity tend to be less variable, more productive, and more dash dash to biological innovation. The next dash dash history reveals in this incidence of mass extinction in the past, but the present rates of extinction, largely attributed to human activities, are dash dash to dash dash times higher. Nearly dash dash species have become extinct in recent times, and more than dash dash species, of which dash dash from India currently face the threat of extinction. The causes of high extinction rates at present include dash dash, particularly forest loss and fragmentation, over-exploitation, biological invasion, and co-extinctions. The next, Earth rich, Earth rich biodiversity is vital for very survival of dash dash. The reason for conserving biodiversity are dash dash, broadly dash dash, and dash dash. Besides the direct benefits like dash dash, there are many indirect benefits we receive through ecosystem services such as dash dash, pest control, climate moderation, and dash dash. Then next, we also have a moral responsibility to take good care of dash dash and pass it on in good order to our next generation. The next, biodiversity conservation may be as well as dash dash in situ conservation. The dash dash species are protected in their natural habitat so that the entire ecosystem is protected. Recently, dash dash biodiversity hotspots in the world have been proposed for intensive conservation effort. Of these three, dash dash cover India's rich biodiversity regions. Our country's dash dash efforts are reflected in dash dash reserves, dash dash national parks, dash dash wildlife sanctuaries, and many shade groves. Dash dash methods include protective maintenance of threatened species in zoological park and botanical garden, in vitro fertilization, dash dash propagation, and dash dash of gametes. Thank you so much. Please like, share, and subscribe.